This conference will now be recorded.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Call this meeting. Roll call, Shannon.
Mayor Trujillo,
Here.
Commissioner Compost,
Here.
Commissioner Gandy,
You will not be present.
Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
Commissioner Bowe.
Commissioner Bowe will lead us in prayer and pledge.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today humbly to thank you. Thank you for your blessings and keeping your promises. We thank you not only for the wonderful times for helping us through all, but also through helping us through hard times. Lord, I pray for continued blessings in the years to come. This room is filled with people who reach out to each other, one another each day, and I thank you for this fine group of people that I have the pleasure to work with. I pray that you would bless each and every one with a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag, the state of New Mexico, the state symbol of perfect friendship among the united cultures.
Thank you, Commissioner. You'll have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda, but to amend it by removing resolution 2021-101 and resolution 2021-103, and also to move under non-action item, the last item up to the front, which would be discussion of giving back 40 hours to the remainder of city's personnel.
Dr. Swap.
Lovington.
Lovington?
Yes.
Okay. To move discussion of Lovington, adopt a spot to the first item under non-action items.
Second that. Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Bernard. Is there any discussion? That's right. There's no discussion. Roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. It is approved. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider the minutes of, regular minutes of November 22nd, 2021, and special minutes of November 23rd, 2021, November 30th, 2021, and December 6th, 2021.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Bowe. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Minutes are approved. Moving on to Commissioner and staff report. Your.
Mayor, Commissioners, I wanted to give you an update. Tonight, you were probably expecting to see the RFPs. It's going to take a little while for me to get those written. I've never done it before. And in that process, there's some stuff that we need to put into place prior to those going out. So I am working on that. Gandy had asked for the budget information. He is not here, but I'm going to go ahead and hand it out to you guys, and we'll get it to him via mail in case any of y'all had questions on the animal and code enforcement budget.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes. I am aiming to have the RFPs for the agenda in January on the 10th, is what my goal is. Once we get everything, we need to get our procurement officer situation, get that handled first. And then I'll be working on this in the meantime, and that's my goal, is to get that done by then, to present it back to you.
Our procurement officers normally our finance, our treasury, since we don't have treasury, Tracy and Melissa will be the one here they're already scheduled to go, but we can also get a waiver, right? So it's
Correct. And that is, Tracy has emailed them asking for a waiver since we're in non-compliance. We have also signed up, I signed up myself, Tracy and Melissa were all taking an RFP class training, January the 25th through the 27th. And that way we can put together an outline and kind of have everybody be able to go through what the procedures are to write an RFP. We put that into place and make life easier. And that is the budget for the animal and the code. I did put the total of both. So code enforcement basically covers our wages. That's why that budget is at the number that it's at, because that's where the wages come for the officers and myself, is animal and code. Do y'all have any questions on that? No? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Shannon,
And,
does anybody have anything for Shannon?
I got a question to ask Shannon. I know that the elections are just around the corner. And I was wondering if you could explain the process for anybody that would like to declare candidacy or that would basically like to run for commission.
okay, it's gonna be on the 4th, January the 4th is the candidate day where you can declare candidacy. And you need to be a registered voter in the district that you want to run in.
You have to show proof of it.
That's basically it.
You have to show proof of it and take it. Is
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
there any other discussion?
When are those elections, Shannon?
March the 1st,
March the 1st?
yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Is there any other discussion? No further discussion, Tracy?
No.
Does anybody have anything for Tracy? Have any, Tracy? Moving on to,
Mayor and Commissioners, one of the things that I brought in Faye, our Director of the Senior Citizens in. She received an award back in November for Aging and Long-Term Services Special Recognition and Appreciation Award. This was for their dedicated service, accomplishments, and continued response to New Mexico's older adults during the COVID-19 public health emergency. And this was actually given to them from Katrina Holtram Lopez, the Cabinet Secretary of the State for Aging and Long-Term. I wanted to definitely bring her in and tell her thank you for what you did during COVID. And it's noticeable even throughout the state. So I wanted to bring her in for that.
thank you.
Fire department, we started seeing a lot of grass fires. It's pretty dry out there, so be very cautious if you're out and about in public with fire safety. We've had a couple of fires that have been decently sized, but at least have been caught quick enough that they didn't get too bad. The one that we had last Thursday was about 25 acres. So the crews were quick in their response to get it knocked out. So that's there. And then that's pretty much it for my departments.
Is there any questions for Chief?
How are you doing as far as manpower?
Currently, right now, we have all 3 shifts are completely staffed with 5 for the 5 allotted positions right now.
How did that affect you when they had the couple fires there?
The first one, we did have to call in an additional staff. This one, we were lucky enough that we were having our employee appreciation luncheon that day, so we had extra staff on hand and it made it a quicker response. So we were able to utilize a lot of the crews that were already in for that. Mhm.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Bowe?
I have a couple things. I know it was 10 days ago, but I'd like to thank everyone that participated in the electric light parade. There were some really great floats. I remember a school bus that went by and was decorated all out, spraying snow all over the place. That was an awesome float. A lot of the ATVs were out there too. And practically everyone had a Santa Claus, and I've never seen so many Santas. Every ATV had a Santa. And so I'd like to thank everybody that participated. There were a bunch of great floats and everyone that helped. And also to Chief Miranda, I seen that some officers are being promoted and some others are coming back. And I'd like to congratulate you and the department.
Thank you, sir.
You guys are doing a good job.
Thank
I'd also like to thank, I made some notes here. I'd like to thank Sheriff Elton, County Manager Gallagher, and County Commissioners, especially Commissioner Dean Jackson, for their assistance. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. And be it for this moment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bernard?
Oh, yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to Laura and the people that are helping with the animal shelter out there. I noticed we've been getting lots of donations from certain amounts of people, but Ms. Laura, she's doing an excellent job working with those people, and I give them thumbs up for that. The animals need protecting too, like we did. And then also I was going to ask the chief, how are we, chief, as far as ambulance runs to Lovington? Have we been pretty steady going that way since COVID? Or they don't call it COVID, they call it the other name, but as it's picked back up a little bit, are we seeing a high rise in going that way?
Yes, sir, we are and we aren't, if that makes any sense. Right now, like this weekend, they had, most of the area hospitals were on diversion because they're getting overcrowded. So the transfers are still coming in. It's just a matter of getting them accepted at different hospitals. I know that they've had a patient over the last 24 hours that they were trying to attempt to get over to Lubbock or to somewhere else, but ended up having to fly them out to Colorado. So their area hospitals are starting to fill up again. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard. Commissioner
Just
Costello?
real quickly, what were the symptoms on that victim?
That one in particular was brain bleed would be the easiest thing to say. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Melvin,
Just if I may, also, I noticed we have, of course, the construction on the south end of the town, and it's posted 30 miles an hour, and people are kind of like flying through there. This afternoon, as I was coming in, I noticed a construction crew, there were guys in the median working with shovels. And two trucks were in both lanes that were northbound and they didn't slow down. And it was right by these people, these guys that are working, so it's kind of a dangerous situation. So it's posted 30, chief, you might, have a couple of your guys keep an eye on that and there's some enforcement in that. It could be a dangerous situation.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, I think that's it. How's your manpower looking, chief?
We are currently at 17 sworn at 28, so we're down 11. So, that includes one gentleman who's not certified.
All right. Thank you. That's all this morning. Thank you.
thank you. Chief, we still got one to fill, like she said, one left to fill.
We could fill probably 3, but we're looking for certified officers now versus non-certified, which they're a little harder to find these days.
Jamie?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to remind you all of the Christmas and New Year's closures that are coming up. City offices will be closed December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th for Christmas, and then 30th and 31st for New Year's. That is an exception of the convenience station. Convenience station will be closed 24th and 25th for Christmas, and then just January 1st for New Year's. And then Senior Citizen Center will follow 23rd and 24th and 25th for Christmas, and then just 31st for New Year's. And I think the January 1st as well. So those are coming up next week. And that's it. That's all I have.
Any questions for Jamie? Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we're continuing to track down the reason that the school zone light on Main Street southbound at Avenue H has been out. We're aware of it. We've been working on the issue with DOT and the Streets Department. It's a wiring issue beneath the ground, so that's why it's taking a little bit, but we're aware of it. Commissioner Campos, I can get with Bernardo about the construction, and we can do what we did last time, which is to put up some extra signs and everything to warn the drivers to slow down. But we can also be out there patrolling.
Oh, thank you.
We have filled the school resource officer position with an existing patrol officer. However, we're going to need him to still help with patrol calls as we're still very short-staffed. And we have 2 housekeeping resolutions on the agenda tonight, which I can explain later.
Any questions for Chief?
Yes, I have a question. I don't know if this is anything you were going to explain later or not. We were talking before about people driving recklessly down some of our roads and seeing about possibly signs, putting up signs or speed bumps. Have we had able to get any information on any of that or not?
Right, so we have been working on that. I put a PSA out on our Facebook page today, trying to identify problem areas, not really solutions yet, but just to identify the problem areas. We got a wide variety of responses. Some people, if you want to put that down, some people in favor. So what I've done here is kind of giving you a cheat sheet on options at traffic control devices. The 3 major ones being rumble strips, radar signs, and then the most permanent would be a speed bump. I figured it would be smart to try to identify the problem areas first and then review in the community as to what would be done. But I've kind of outlined the pros and cons because each one has its benefits and its drawbacks. Some are permanent, some are temporary, some are free, some are not. Some slow down emergency vehicles, like a permanent speed bump also slows down ambulances and police cars. So there's positives and negatives to each one, but in the meantime, I want to identify what the worst areas are.
Right.
I mean, I know some of the worst areas in my neighborhood, but I don't know, so maybe your constituents and people through social media can let us know. And then if we want to move on it and do one of these options, we'll know where to go.
Thank you very much.
I would like to say that I am definitely in favor of the speed bumps. I think we need to introduce technology to help safeguard the community. These other ones are just temporary fixes. There's no repercussion for it. Radar signs, they'll just speed through a radar sign because they don't even, there's no repercussion. Same way with the rumble strip, it's there temporarily. It's not going to solve nothing, just for that week, and then next week they'll be back to the same stuff. So I know sometimes people, it's hard to adapt to change, but speed bumps, I'm very in favor of that. You can't put an officer on every city block at all times in the city block, even a school district. Just one school like the high school, you'd have to have 5 officers just to cover the entire high school at one given time. We don't have the resources, nor anybody would ever have the resources to allocate officers like that. Like I said, even if we had 100 officers, we couldn't be on every street. So we're not able to be that speed bump will be there. It will be state of the art for collections and so forth. So I did reach out to some of the construction companies on bringing it to hopefully approach the board soon and see what they want, what direction they want to head. Thank you. Crystal?
Yeah, Mayor and Commissioners, I'm currently and have been for over the past 2 years, New Mexico floodplain State District 2 representative. They have asked me to go and do a training, and it is to train other certified, to train people to become certified floodplain managers. The class lasts a whole week. They usually have them in Albuquerque or Las Cruces. This one would be in Albuquerque. They're asking me to come teach. The cost for food, travel, and hotel would all be reimbursed by FEMA. Any questions on that? Okay, so the stormwater class that I completed, usually the city manager would just appoint you to be the competent person. We don't have a city manager at this point, so I just was a simple a simple approval from commission stating that I would be the competent person for stormwater is all we need to go on record for my certification to be valid. And then the New Mexico Highway 18 Main Street Improvement Project. They're currently still working on the stormwater retention pond. It's almost complete. They're working on, through the holidays, I know they're down stacked a little bit, but they're still gonna be working on that pond and the shaping of it. And of course, as you know, they're still working on South Main with that mill and bill that was going on there. We are also looking at the draft that we did for the water line. So what we've done is we've gone back to the engineers to replace that water line to move it to a different location in Maine rather than straight down the center. By moving this water line and redesigning it, we're avoiding a lot of the conflicts where the water line would have to go through those storm drains and storm drain inlets. And we're also removing a lot of the conflicts with just the work itself. So this way the water line can go ahead and be placed and done, and then they'll start the main part of the construction because they'd be able to block off one side of the road, do the whole water line replacement, and then come back in and start their storm drain project and the redoing of the road.
Are there any pros and cons to them moving that water line? I understand what you said, it alleviate a lot of.
It does alleviate a lot of the conflicts that we're gonna, some of those conflicts were gonna be quite costly.
Right.
And the water line will not be buried as deep this way. The depth of the water line was gonna be anywhere from 12 to 13 feet. We as the city cannot actually work on a water line that's that deep in the ground. We'd have to hire a contractor every time we had a water leak. So by doing the redesign, we're raising that line back up to that 6 foot or above area where we can actually work on it as our city water department can handle that depth. So that's one of your cons, is that it is actually, the maintenance on it can be done by us instead of us having to hire that out. And they're moving some of the fire hydrants. We went over that with the fire chief. They're moving some of the fire hydrants to the west side, and some of them will remain on the east side. Right now, most all of them are on the east side of Maine. So if we have a fire that's on this side of Maine, we have to close down the street to actually get to that hose. So this way we'll have the variance of them being on different sides of the road.
So that won't really pose much of an issue.
No, sir. The placement that we have right now, or that has been spec'd out, is going to benefit not only mostly the west side of Main Street, but the ones that stay on the east side are going to be still there for the bigger buildings. So those will stay the same.
Thank you.
I do have a copy of that water line replacement with me. If any of you guys ever want to come in and visit with me, I can show you that, go over what we're looking at, and go into more detail with you. The Jefferson Street project, we are in the final design stage. After meeting with the mayor and the contractors that we had done the CES contract to do that project, we decided we better do some core samples, because if they start milling that and the base underneath is not appropriate, then we're going to run into a higher cost for that project to rebuild that base. Because you can't do a mill and bill on top of a road that doesn't have an efficient base. So we're going to make sure that project can be completed with the amount of money we have set aside for that, rather than to run into problems later.
That project, you said Jackson Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
That project is, from my understanding, to be completed June 30th.
Yes, we are aware of that, and so is the contractor.
Is there any way possible having that completed by June 30th?
Yes, we are. And as soon as we get their numbers from them for the contract, and we get the final on the design, and they give us their CES bid, we'll be able to come to that, so you can approve that, and we can get the contract and they can get started. We'll hope to have that mid-January. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chris. City Attorney.
Don't have anything to report, but on behalf of our office staff, wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Okay, moving on to public comment.
Mayor, City Commissioners, I thought I wanted to say something, but at this time I'll refrain. Yes.
Is there any other public comment? There's no other public comment. Moving on to discussion items.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we had moved the discussion of the Lovington adopt a spot up to the first item.
I think she had left. Anybody else here? She had another meeting to attend. I don't know.
Okay.
Bobby was in help.
Okay.
I don't see him coming.
The next,
I can go over that real quick on that discussion of Lovington adopt spot. What she was looking at is community involvement, and what she was wanting to do is us give her a list of how many spots in the city of Lovington that we take care of the small spots, not the ballparks or the parks. It's just the little spots like in front of City Hall, some front of the fire station, little spots off Main Street and so forth. She was just saying that they can cover all this, get people to adopt a spot. They did this back in the 80s, I recall. They just stick a little sign up there that says, businesses adopting this spot, and they take care of it for the year. There's probably 20 spots out there that they have to take care of. That would relieve time for our parks and rec guys to place that time on parks and ballparks. So that's what she was looking into. So we're gonna get her that list, and I guess she'll approach the board again for another discussion on that as well. That's all.
and then next on non-action item is a discussion of the extraterritorial zoning commission board appointments by Crystal.
Yeah, we needed to have another person appointed for the board, and the existing member, did they, all of them replied. So Betty Price, Steve Carr, and Julia Myers all replied that they would like to remain on the board. We do have to reappoint the ETZ commission every year. And we had one member that has not made any meetings within the last several years. So we need to appoint one more member. So if you guys know of anyone you'd like to appoint, so we can bring it as an action item for the next meeting.
Who is that member?
Huh?
Who is that member?
It's John Norris. Yeah. Wanted to make sure I get. Yeah, he's been on there since I started work here, and I've only.
He has not been to board meetings.
So we heard from, him, and he contacted me.
We tried the contact that we had and tried to reach out to anybody who might know him, but we haven't had to.
Thank you.
The next non-action item is a discussion of a contract for financial consultant services. Chief Lozardo or Mayor?
No, that'd be Treasury Tracy, Deputy Treasurer.
We had a Zoom meeting with Ed Fierro, and he's presented a contract to help us get ready for the audit. What we would do is send everything to him. He would double check everything and then send it on to the auditors for us. So I think we need it with all the staff change and things. It's just would be a lot of help.
And he's in Las Cruces, is that correct?
Yes,
Tracy, okay.
yes, he is.
I know him.
Do you?
He's a good guy.
He was also recommended by our current auditor.
Yes.
Is there any discussion on that?
My question is, I haven't seen a contract to look at.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Go
Oh my God. I was waiting for Patrick to review it, and then I asked him today, he's out. I asked him and I don't know, did he give it to you, Les? The contract for he didn't say any changes on it so far, but the contract is in the agenda right now. So If you want to overlook at it, it's present in the
Okay, I
agenda.
didn't see it in there before, so.
If it become an action item on the next.
Yeah, but I mean, the contract itself is
Yes.
in there.
Yes, yes, sir. It's both, I believe it's both in the non-action item part and the action item.
Final non-action item is a discussion of giving back 40 hours to the remainder of the city personnel. Mr. Mayor?
It's, do you have any other further discussion on that, Commissioner?
No, I'm just looking for that contract.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Let's see, on.
That was a question I had, is how can I approve if I can't even look at it?
My apologies, it didn't get uploaded. Let me go get you a.
You'd like to make one out for the remainder of the board members as well.
Make sure. Let me restitch this and then I'll be right there. You'll have to refresh your screen and it will be on your screen. Give it just a second.
I'll fall asleep, Dean.
Sure.
It did restitch and it is on there, so I think it.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if she ran to rent a copy, just. hard copy. Like to also point out that on this contract, the only reason it's pushed on as a discussion item, and it comes up action items. That's, the audit is already currently ongoing, and so we need Bureau CPA involved in our current audit.
Yeah, it's not on all of them. She can restitch it.
So if you go through your Novus agenda, that's where it's at. It's not on the packet online.
How much of this did Patrick go through?
I'm not too sure on it. I talked to him today and he said that Liz will be in his spot.
You think he might be available by phone call? So we can get some, I guess, direction from him. He looked at,
We can always come back and put on the items to approve on Monday if we need. Do we have any other coming up on this?
We'll have that discussion with the ordinance that we talked about.
Why don't we just,
Okay, we can table it and just
Just
table
table
it
it.
until Monday.
I think the board would like to review this contract. Have more time to review prior to approval, so let's just move it to Monday's agenda.
The last non-action item is a discussion of giving back 40 hours to the remainder of the city personnel.
Deputy Treasurer Tracy.
Yes, I did a sheet to see how much the difference would be. We have about 11 departments that are still at not the 80 hours yet. So I came that it's gonna be about, it'd be an extra like 14,300 a month to get back everyone's hours.
Tracy, on that revenue, what is coming out of the fund and what is coming out of the other departments fund?
The general fund, okay, the general fund would be about 13,000, a little over 13,000, and then the water fund would be about 700. It's not much. It's just mostly the water. The office girls up here that are not at the 80 hours. And then the whole departments, it's library, streets, public, which is Brittany, animal shelter, finance, parks, executive, legislature, planning and zoning, and motor vehicle. And then the water girls. So,
I had Deputy Treasurer look into it, since general fund is our weakest point because we only replace that with GRT, gross receipt taxes. So I just wanted everybody to know how much will be pulled from that to bring everybody to 40 hours. And we're going to move it to an action item first week of January. So we just want to bring that to the table. That's the cost of bringing everybody back to 40 hours, starting off with that new year. It cost the city a little over 13,000 out of the general. The water fund is pretty hefty, water and wastewater, so it really doesn't affect the 700. But the general fund is what is based off gross receipts taxes, and you guys know sometimes it bounces back. So just want everybody to be aware that's where that funding will come.
So I see youth center around here. What's our plans for the youth center? Wasn't it closed for the time being? So what's going on with that?
She's currently a floater right now, since we don't have the youth center open.
Right.
So she's currently a floater.
So
So
we're
she's
talking
been
about one
helping,
employee.
yeah, and she's right there assisting Faye with the senior citizens
Right.
right now. So that's what she would be.
Well, I just see youth center and I'm like, I thought the youth center was, we're just talking about.
Yeah, that one's back. Yes,
Okay.
still working on it. few entities with the new center, possibly new direction we may get based on the reports we on our later date. Is there any other questions? Okay, it'll be on tonight, first week of, on our next board, our first meeting of the new year. Moving on to action items. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance 587, an ordinance of the city of Lovington, New Mexico, amending Title II Administration and Personnel, Division 2 Municipal Officers, Chapter 2.12, Section 011 of the Lovington Municipal Code.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Campos, second by Commissioner Bernard. Crystal. You have that? I'm sorry, Shannon.
This is our,
Both got them on here.
this is our redistricting ordinance. And it was published well over 2 weeks ago, so it's now coming before you for adoption. And after adoption, we can get the final maps from research and polling, and we'll get one of those published in the public.
Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call, vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes, ordinance passed. Do I have a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion, resolution 2021-102, approval of library board appointment. Shannon Black.
Second that.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bolt, appoint Shannon Black for library board appointment, second by Commissioner Bernard. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passed. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-104, approval to execute a contract for financial constitution service. I make a motion to table that one. There we go.
Motion was made to table resolution 2021-104, second by Commissioner Campos. Is there any discussion on that?
We'll take that back up again.
Monday, sir. This coming Monday.
We'll hold a special meeting.
Roll call.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution is tabled. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, resolution 2021-105, authorizing disposal of certain records for the city retention schedule.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bolt, second by Commissioner Campos. Who's disposing?
We put the exhibits in the packet, and it's mainly, there's some, if I can remember correctly, let me look at it. Some employment applications, the water department had a couple of their ledgers.
Yeah, I see them giving.
Do you, water department, so let's see, there's some miscellaneous, like waiver liabilities, some letters and faxes for solid waste, street department, some vehicle reports, general applications, park reservation forms, athletic reservation forms, some accident files, affidavits, and then water department had their water check reports, water cash reports, and water work orders from the dates per the retention schedule that we can dispose of. And that retention schedule was adopted January 14th, 2019.
Do we have employees here that are authorized to dispose of them or shred them or?
Yes, we just take them out to, or we call street department and they will come and pick them up. That way we can burn them, basically is what they do.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Beal.
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, resolution 2021-106, MOU between Lee County DWI program and Lovington Police Department.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bowe, second by Commissioner Compost. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is a renewal of a longstanding MOU between the Lovington Police Department and the Lee County DWI program. The Lee County DWI program furnishes $8,064.50 for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. It reimburses the Lovington Police Department for DWI saturation patrols conducted within the city of Lovington. Kelly Livingston is here tonight from the director of the Lee County DWI program. If you have any questions for her.
I'd like to say anything?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. Chief Miranda's right. We've had a long-standing partnership with the Lovington Police Department. Most years, every year, but most years I do receive funding to help with local community agencies and DWI impaired driving, the fight against impaired driving. So we do have those fundings this year for Lovington Police Department, and I'm happy to say, so we're happy to help them reimburse their officers for dedicated DWI saturation patrols. No savings.
Any questions for Dick?
Thank you.
For what you did.
I'm sorry.
No, I said, just said thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome, and thank you for your support.
There's no further discussion, roll call, vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost.
Yes.
Yes, resolution passes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2021-107. Resolution authorizing the memorandum of agreement between the city of Lovington and Lee County Communications Authority, LTCA, regarding LTCA undertaking all emergency call dispatching and some non-emergency call dispatching for the city of Lovington.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Bowe. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this resolution is virtually identical to 2021-095, which was passed unanimously by this commission on November 22nd. And that resolution was between the city of Lovington and Lee County. This resolution is between the city of Lovington and LCCA. And basically all three entities have to agree and vote on this. But it's basically the same resolution for the absorption of LPD dispatch by LCCA.
Is there any questions for Chief?
Yes, one, Mr. Mayor. Chief, does LTTA, have they already approved their own from their end, or they need to do that?
They have done it, as well as as well as Eunice, Tatum, and so far JAL has stated that they're going to wait a year and see how it goes.
But I'm saying that has LTCA
Yes.
approved it on their end
Yes,
for
sir.
us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They have.
Yeah, this is the last step, right, Chief?
This is the last step.
Last chip? They're gonna beat you. This is the last step. Okay.
I certainly want to reiterate what Commissioner Bolton said earlier. Commissioner Jackson, thank you and your colleagues for your support. It's greatly appreciated from our end. Thank you.
Thank you all for going forward with this. I think it'll sure help the county
It'll help us too.
Little entities in the county, in the county, for a better communication on our emergencies.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's no further discussion, roll call, vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mr. Compost,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-108, approval of distribute safety incentive funds to the staff employed through 2021.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bernard, second by Commissioner Campos. What we have in front of us is, we received a refund from our health insurance company of $216,000. Out of the $216,000, 10% of that is allocated to reimbursement of employees, which will be, that'll be on our next item on the agenda come January, to go ahead and give, authorized to give their money back to them. It's 10% of that is what the city of Lovington currently pays 90%, employees pay 10%. So on this reimbursement, they are eligible and to receive this funding. It's all we're doing is just authorizing to release the funds. That is money they paid into it, so they rightfully deserve their money back as a refund. But we would have to make a motion to release them funds. But that item will be on our next agenda. Currently, right now, that's in front of you is to increase their safety to $500 an employee, which would run the city about $50,000. Now, the remaining balance of $144,000 will be credited back to our insurance. We currently pay in insurance $90,000 a month, so it roughly cover a month and a half with the reimbursement. We're looking at $500. Is there any discussion?
So what is the refund from?
Our health insurance. The city pays their health insurance.
But why did they give us a refund?
Because what it was, there were no accidents, like very few accidents, and they based it on how many accidents occurred, how many files, or how many people went to the hospital. Chief, can you elaborate a little bit?
So the health insurance has they have a set amount of that they charge, and if you fall underneath your allotted, what it would be if you had an entire year worth of accidents or anything like that, they would give back basically a credit or a refund of that overage. So if you have a year that's extremely high with a lot of high incidences or big ticket items for employees, then they wouldn't give you any kind of funding back. But because we hit that outline factor or whatever, then they would give us kind of a refund rebate on our premiums that we pay into it.
Mhm.
It's a safety incentive from the insurance company.
Yes.
To us, correct?
Yes.
And did you say the amount was that we're going to be giving back to the employees?
So the first amount was,
What is it?
okay, 10% of 216,000, that's what is rightfully theirs because they paid into it. So, but we would still have to approve to release the funds back, but that won't be until the next item, first item on the agenda on January. So that would roughly be a little under about 190,000, let's say, and from the 190,000, 94,000, roughly giving $500 safety, increasing their safety pay to 500. So that would incentive, that would be, in loss would be 144,000 that the city will have.
So the money that they paid in, they're getting back from it?
Yeah, it's 10%. We pay 90%. So out of the 90% is what we're pulling the $500. Their 10% we can't touch because that's their money that they're entitled to.
I was just wondering what they were more of a safety incentive.
That's what, and I put 500 out there. So it's you guys want to make more safety, a bigger one that's Just, we pay $90,000 a month in insurance premiums, and so that would leave us 144,000 short. If we went with the 50,000.
Right. Well, my reasoning is this year, what everybody went through, the employees, especially the employees that work for the city, with everything that they had to put up with and deal with. And I feel that without the employees, we're not gonna do it. So I'd like to see about giving the employees a little bit more. That's just my opinion.
What number we, yes,
As part of that discussion, I'm with you on that. Commissioner, I'd like to see them receive more, just based on what we get back from the insurance company, whatever, as much as we can give back to the employees, I think they deserve that. So, I'm with you.
We have to have that figured by,
it was tonight. Yeah, that's what we're gonna have to agree upon what. Right now, did we pay our last month premium or we used to pay our last?
But we didn't pay December. We didn't get billed for December.
We didn't get billed for December. Okay. We didn't get billed for this current month, which is 90,000.
let's say, even if you increase it from 500 to 800, that's, to me, that's an increase. It's not a lot, but something. I said, to show them we appreciate what they did. That it's coming back because they were safe. It's credit to them also. And put out there that, you know what, this extra money that you're getting back. People understand that shop local strong. If you can put it back in our community, put it back in our community, our businesses, our restaurants, help with GRT. I think that's my opinion. I believe that they deserve it.
And it roughly be about 80,000, what you're looking at, and that's might be give or take.
That's just my opinion.
And that was still all, because small balance.
I like that. Didn't ever think it was good. What do you think, Commissioner?
I'm on board with it too.
I want to say that out of the 216,000, once again, 10% goes back to the employees, because what they paid is rightfully theirs, what they will be paid back to come January, first meeting in January. The remainder balance is about 194,000. The city has currently paid 90,000 in premiums or was credited this month for 90,000 in premiums. Since we did not have to pay that, release the balance of a little over 100,000. So Mr. Pope has made a recommendation that we give $800 to the employees, which will be about $80,000. That is still within the market. Under the market, what we receive back in premiums.
So do we need to incorporate that into our motion?
Yes.
Amend the motion?
Yes, sir.
You made the motion, right? Commissioner?
Butcher.
Oh, Butcher, okay.
Yeah.
You want to do that, Commissioner?
Yes, I'd like to amend that motion to resolution 20, to release the funding to make it 800 to 500.
Yeah, I think I can make it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll mention about it.
Yeah.
During the initial entry.
So just make that motion.
You can repeat it on, say it, with $800.
Resolution 2020-01 to make the motion.
Hold on, this is 2021. There's 108.
1108 to increase, I should say, the incentives of the safety funds to employees in amount of $800 per person. That should work.
Did I say it was, did I stick it in?
It wasn't in the deal at 500. We just-
So we're just sticking it in.
Just put it.
So I second that motion.
Yes, sir.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bernard to given a safety incentive of $800 from the premiums we receive back from our healthcare provider. It was seconded by Commissioner Campos. Is there any further discussion? There's no further discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passes. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to consider accounts payable.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Commissioner Campos, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. Treasury? Or Melissa?
Just a report from you, Melissa. Just an overview, a quick overview. Anything you want to present to it? Anything you want to make us aware of?
No.
Nothing? Prove it just like that. We'll look it over, how's that?
Okay.
Further discussion on accounts payable.
No, good. Mr. Mayor.
Everything's fitting. I don't see anything. I don't know, I'm good.
Commissioner Bolt, do you have any questions?
No.
There's no further
Man, I
discussion.
was reading those.
Just gave you a Christmas present. There's no further discussion. Roll call, vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Accounts payable are paid. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2021-109, lease agreement with Stryker Medical for Life Pack 15 upgrades.
Motion was made by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Bolt. Who's in charge of this?
Mayor Commissioners, this, so we've had a contract with Stryker Medical for the last 4 years out of a 7-year contract. Currently, right now, our life packs are all used life pack models, or cardiac monitors. And we're currently running the version 1 models. And those are no longer, as of this next year, will no longer be serviceable due to having outdated equipment or motherboards and stuff like that. So we contacted Stryker Medical to see kind of price ranging it for this next year. And right now they've got the best offer as far as trading in these current old monitors, which we're looking at almost $10,000, almost $11,000 per monitor back. So what we looked at was extending out our current lease for the power loads and cots from the remainder of 3 years and going ahead and running it out another 7 years, making the payments a little bit smaller to accommodate both the power loads, the cots, and the cardiac monitors, as well as the service agreement for those cardiac monitors. So once this, one of the things that was noted was if we do this agreement, it's going to increase our annual contributions to the Stryker Financial by $7,000, almost $8,000 a year. And currently, right now, the state EMS funding covers $13,598 of it. So the remaining balance of the $17,000 would be out of our ambulance EMS funding.
And Chief, you recommend approving the updating the contract, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I do, just for the fact that they've got the best deal going right now for the equipment.
I got a question. Does any of this fall underneath COVID funding?
This one, we have not looked at the COVID funding for this one, mostly because the state EMS Fund Act is paying for 13,000 of it. So the remaining balance of that has always traditionally come out of our ambulance funding or ambulance 509 account. So I just kept it the same as it was before with COVID funding. We really didn't know what we could spend it on. And so we held off on spending anything out of that funding.
So is this something that could be covered underneath COVID funding or this?
We do still have the 1.4 million still. And part of that was for the one of these items as well. There's only 2 of them. That was for loss in GRT and for, I think it's just this as well. So we still have that funding still. But that would come out of your department.
Yes, sir. Right now, the way it's set up is all of the 13,000 of it is coming from our State Ambulance Fund Act, which is an annual payment that they make out to ambulance services in the state, and then the remaining balance comes out of our 509 ambulance account, which is our billing, who covers our billing, and that's been the agreement has been that way since 2017.
And both areas sound pretty healthy on both financially.
So on the ambulance funding, we're on track to be about the same as we were last year in the 800 to 900 range, which is a couple hundred thousand over our anticipated expenses. So I think this is something that we can
Okay.
do.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the opposite way and there's funding to be able to help with that. It should be helped.
Any other discussion? No further discussion, roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trivio.
Yes. Resolution passes. Let's see, before we make our final adjournment, on behalf of the board and all of us, I wish everybody, well, we've got another meeting, don't we? So we say, well, somebody won't show up next time, so I'm Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Next time. But we do have one more meeting come Monday, and it's kind of a special meeting. A lot of these meetings that we're having specials because due to COVID, everything's state is trying to get their data up to speed, and we're going back and forth on contracts and so forth, on renewing contracts and current contracts, and that's why we're having a lot of special meetings. Not because, like I said, once again, it's not because staff is forgetting something or something like that. It's a lot of the stuff is having to be approved and reapproved pretty much at the state level, so that's what's affecting us here at the city. But no, there's no biggie about it. We get it done, so close out the year.
That's great. I'd just like to thank the city employees for working so hard and displaying your loyalty to this city. We wouldn't be where we're at. We'd get back on track, but we couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much. She would tell all the employees as well. We're very appreciative of y'all.
I think everybody on this board was happy to approve this tonight, so. Any other comments? No further comments, do I have a final motion?
So Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion was made to adjourn by Commissioner Compost, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. Is there any last discussion? No last discussion, roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Mayor Padilla.
Meeting is adjourned.
That's big.